Hey everybody, my name is Raman,
And I'm Christina.
and we're from the Mixed Couple Productions, and we're here today to talk to you about one of our favorite towns, Concord, Massachusetts.
So we lived in Concord, Massachusetts a few years before we moved down to the south, and we started living there as a brand new married couple.
So while we were living there, we got to check out a couple of cool restaurants, bars, joints, and other places we'd love to share with you while you take a little visit through this town.
So we'll start off with some more formal kind of date night ideas and with our top 5, and then we'll move into more casual places where you can just get a quick bite to eat. So number 1 on the list is actually pretty iconic and historic. It's called the Concord Colonial Inn. And if you love just that New England feel, the kind of old creaky floors, and just that quintessential New England town architecture, it's a solid bet. It is a little bit on the pricey end for dinner, but I found that it was very reasonable for lunch, and much of the food is sourced from local farms.
One of the cool things to do at the Colonial Inn is to go for a Sunday brunch. Especially during Christmas time when we went, they had a gingerbread house making competition. And for the Sunday brunch, you had a 3 or 4 course meal spread across 2 different dining halls. Highly recommend checking it out during that time of the year.
The very first place that we actually went almost 1 or 2 days after we moved was called 80th Row. And 80th Row doesn't look like a whole lot from the outside. It's kind of part of the old train station that used to exist in Concord, and it's a little nondescript, so kind of tucked away. But once you go inside, it's very much like a fine dining upscale restaurant, and that's where we had our very first date night as a married couple.
They have rabbit liver pate amongst a whole other host of amazing eclectic items.
And being foodies, this was a natural place for us to start. So the third one on our list, if you've been keeping track, is Main Street's Market and Cafe. This is, again, a very, very iconic building in downtown Concord. If you're walking through the town, which is essentially a roundabout and kind of a heavily foot trafficked intersection, you couldn't miss Main Street's Cafe. And again, this is kind of just like a solid go-to place. It does get a little bit crowded on the weekends, but we would actually recommend going there during the week because not only do you get kind of a solid burger, sandwich, salad, that type of American fare, but also they have live music there regularly, which is really fun to just sit and enjoy.
I would say we went there about once a week or once every other week. One of my favorite things to do is to stop by the bakery. You don't even have to sit at the restaurant. You can go straight to the front, and I would always get either the roadside brownie or one of the chocolate cookies. Highly recommend checking it out.
By now you can probably tell we don't cook a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, going right into number 4 is one of my favorites, and that's Helens Restaurant. So just as, kind of well known as Main Street's Market Cafe is, there's also Helens. It's called Helens Restaurant, but it has more of the feel of a diner. And you really get the sense that it's a local place, not a ton of seating, which makes it cozy and intimate. And you just get kind of straight up solid dishes. Like we always went there when we had family in town, if we wanted a nice lunch. We also went there a lot for breakfast. They're making smoothies and things like that behind the counter. It's just a very relaxed local vibe.
One thing to note is that while we were there, it was a cash-only stance at that time, so we just recommend checking out to make sure that that is still the case.
And then on to number 5 is also kind of very similar to Helen's, just kind of a really good go-to, more casual place, and that's the Zen Cafe. And it's called that because a lot of trails culminate in Concord, or a lot of people do the Lexington-Concord Trail as a tourist. This trail again, this cafe again is very solid. I actually liked going there during the week because they had a Wi-Fi signal. There was people there working with their computers. There's a really good coffee bar. I find that their coffee menu is a lot more extensive than maybe a place like Helens. And so it just has, again, really solid food, really solid coffee. And not far from it, across the parking lot, is a very upscale gourmet, almost like Concord's local version of a Whole Foods, where you can get upscale foods to prepare your own dinner if you so wish.
One of my favorite items to get there is the apple French toast. Highly recommend checking it out. It comes out as like a piece of cake. It's decadent and fills you right up.
And not in our top 5, because it can't even be on a list because it exceeds all accolades, is Bedford Farms ice cream. So Bedford Farms ice cream is, for me, my favorite ice cream of any place I've lived, and that's been at least 5 or 6 cities here in the US. It is a literally farm-to-table dairy ice cream place with your traditional flavors, but also rotating seasonal flavors. And I know that Ramen's gonna know this already, but my favorite season at Bedford Farm ice cream is actually the fall, and that's because they come out with Monster Mash. And Monster Mash is pumpkin ice cream that has Oreo in it. And if you've never had pumpkin Oreo ice cream with a little bit of maybe cinnamon and nutmeg somehow in there, it is just to die for.
My personal favorite from there, and one flavor I'd recommend checking out, is the Green Monster. The Green Monster is mint ice cream, Oreo pieces, and fudge on top. This was my staple, and it was named after Fenway, the wall on Fenway Park. Again, highly recommend checking that flavor out. Well, thank you guys so much. This wraps up our video. We do have some other restaurants we'd love to mention. You feel free to check out our description below to look at those other restaurants. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more information.
Bye, everyone.